Hello everyone, I'm Brady Halbmaier. Welcome to TommieMedia's The Locker Room. The St. Thomas men's basketball team is off to a 3-1 start despite missing several key players due to injury. Senior forward Ryan Boll leads the team in scoring, averaging a conference best 22 points a game. Junior guard GT Johnson is playing almost 25 more minutes a game this season and is second in scoring. I'm joined this week by Coach John Tower and players Ryan Boll and GT Johnson. Guys, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks, Brady.
Thank you.
Coach, as I mentioned, several key players have been hurt. However, John Vale returned to action Wednesday night. But how hard has it been for your team to develop chemistry when you've been playing with a reduced lineup each night?
Well, there's certainly been challenges when you look at John and Mike and Connor Bear, Tommy Anderson, and along with a half a dozen other guys who have been banged up from time to time. Probably not exactly what we anticipated going into the season, and especially after graduating 4 seniors last year. But you know, it's like anything in life. You got to deal with the situation you're given, and I think Ryan and GT certainly epitomize that they've rolled with it. 2 minutes before we went out on the floor for our first game, John came up and said his back was hurt and he couldn't play, and so we looked at GT, who was starting his first college game. We said, well, now you're starting at point guard, and for him to kind of be unflappable and go out, and he had 2 outstanding games out in Ohio. I think it speaks to really what we hope our guys are. We talk about adaptability a lot in our program, and GT being adaptable. Ryan, I think, as a senior captain, our leader, kind of unequivocal leader. As a freshman, he hardly played. As a sophomore, he started on the national championship team, but he scored about 3 points a game, and he was our defensive stopper, and he embraced that role. And last year, he was sort of our second option to Grant Schaefer, and now this year, he's, in my mind, as good as anybody in the country. I wouldn't trade him for anyone, and there are a lot of great players out there, but I think that when you talk about the injuries, we don't focus on those. We focus on who's healthy, who's ready to go, and how do we put ourselves in the best position to be successful.
And Ryan, as one of only 3 seniors on this team, how have you been able to guide them to a 3-1 start, even with the injuries, as Coach mentioned?
Well, like JT said, it's been hard taking up a new role this year. As a sophomore, I was one of the quieter kids. Last year, Shafe was our leader, so this year, being the leader, knowing I was senior captain, having 2 of the other seniors out, I really knew I had to be a little bit more vocal. It was more of a growing stance for me, and having guys like GT step up, freshmen playing not like freshmen, it's helped a lot.
And GT, as I said off the top, you were second in scoring. It seems with an increased playing time, you were much more confident.
Yeah, well, I mean, over the last couple of years, I've been playing against some of the best players in the country at St. Thomas, and just waiting for my opportunity. So this is what I've been preparing for, so I'm just kind of taking advantage of it.
And Coach, you mentioned it, but the missing players have left some gaps for first-year players to step in. How have they been able to make an impact on this team so quickly in their collegiate careers?
Well, we brought in, I think, a really phenomenal freshman class, and quite honestly, they're probably playing more early on, as GT alluded to, because of so many injuries to veterans. I think one of the hallmarks of our program has been guys who really have gotten better year over year. So you look at GT, and some people are surprised what he's doing right now, but like you said, he's been going against guys the last 2 years who have pushed him to a different level, and Ryan did the same thing. So, right now, Ryan Lindbergh and Bert Hedstrom, I think they're doing a great job for us. Simeon Davis from Hill Murray, Toby Galuli, JP Costello. When you look at 5 freshmen playing in our rotation right now, that's unheard of here at St. Thomas. Right. And some of that is probably the injuries and the graduation hits we've taken, but some of it is also a pretty bright future between those guys in the sophomore class. I think couple games we played 10 guys, and 8 of the 10 were freshmen and sophomores. So we certainly think we have a bright future, but when we talk about that, we're talking about this year. We don't think down the road. We think about, we know where we are at the end of November, and it's a lot better than we were at the start of November. And I think what we're most excited about is to see where we can be in February and hopefully March.
And that's all the time we have today in the locker room. Guys, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Check TommieMedia.com all season for coverage of the men's basketball team. With Coach John Tower and players Ryan Boll and GT Johnson, I'm Brady Halbmaier. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time in the locker room.